Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Wassalatu wassalamu ala ashrafil mursaleen. Amma ba'd. We shall continue with our reading into the devotions of Hazrat Sheikh Maulana Ashraf Ali Thanvi rahimahullah. Here we continue at some of the answers from the questions that were asked by Hazrat Khwaja Azizul Hasan Majzub rahimahullah sahab. Number 6. He performed iftar with the gathering. Number 8. As far as I know, there was no difference, that is, in the voluntary salah after Maghrib in Ramadan or outside Ramadan. Number 9. He prayed 6 rakah of voluntary salah, sometimes while sitting. I once asked, Hazrat, why do you pray while sitting? He replied, so I don't become arrogant. He never let anyone fan him during the salah, as was the custom of some of the elders in the time. I asked him, why don't you allow someone to fan you during salah? He replied, it doesn't seem right in worship. Number 18. There was no difference in Ramadan and the other months. Hazrat always prayed Fajr shortly before the sunrise time. Number 21. As far as I know, Hazrat never recited with anybody. Number 22. As far as I can remember, he usually recited from the Quran. He knew the Quran inside out. I have only seen 2 people whose memorization was so good that no one could compete with them in this matter, Hazrat Thanvi rahimahullah and Qari Abdul Khaliq rahimahullah. Once Hazrat said, my routine in Ramadan is the same as in other months. Some of the elders have different habits in their iftar, in that they break their fast with dates and zamzam. My habit is to break fast with whatever is closer at the time of iftar, whether it is date, zamzam, warm water or guava. In Majalis Hakim ul-Ummah, Mufti Shafi Osmani rahimahullah narrated the routine of Hazrat for the Ramadan of 1347, February 1929. It is reproduced below for the benefit of the readers. Mufti Shafi rahimahullah writes, this was the first time I had the opportunity to spend Ramadan in Thana Bhawan. Sheikh Muhammad Tayyib, Qari Muhammad Tayyib rahimahullah, principal of Darul Uloom Deoband, was with me at the time. People came to meet Hazrat from every part of the country throughout the year. Many of Hazrat's closest devotees and successors were scholars and students of the Islamic schools who could not spend time with Hazrat except in Ramadan, as it was their only break time. And since this month is for worship and devotions, hundreds of people came to spend the whole month with Hazrat. Though it was against Hazrat's nature, he disliked crowds and large gatherings in the month of Ramadan and loved seclusion. He would say, my friends, the scholars of knowledge do not get any opportunity at any other time, so I have no choice but to allow this. Every year the number of attendees grew. A few years before he passed away, everything was occupied. The rooms, the khanqah and the surrounding buildings, and still more space was needed. They had to pitch up tents in the courtyard of the khanqah. One year tents were pitched outside for the lack of space. Sheikh Muhammad Tayyib rahimahullah was with me on my first visit in the Ramadan of 1347, February 1929. Sheikh Muhammad Tayyib rahimahullah was not only a great scholar but also an excellent reciter of Quran. He reached Thana Bhawan after completing his Quran on the 19th. In Deoband, people came from far to listen to him and recite in the masjid of the school in Deoband. We came to Thana Bhawan in the period when Hazrat could no longer lead Tarawih due to the weakness. He left for his home after praying Isha in congregation in the Khanqah's masjid and recited the Quran in Tarawih at home. His family and other women from the neighborhood came to pray behind Hazrat. Another reciter came to lead Tarawih and complete the Quran in the Khanqah's masjid. When Sheikh Muhammad Tayyib arrived, many of the people in the Khanqah wished for him to recite the whole Quran in the last 10 days. They presented the request to Hazrat asking, after Tarawih, can Sheikh Tayyib recite 3 parts every day in voluntary salah? Hazrat was deeply committed to fulfilling the rights of the people and adherence to the Sharia, both of which were intrinsic to his nature. He was passionate and strict about avoiding things that upset or restricted others in order to fulfill his own desire or fervor for worship. He also trained his murids in the same way. If he had allowed these people who made the request to pray in the Khanqah Masjid, there was a possibility that some would not want to attend for whatever reason and would be forced to stay away because of Salat. Either that or they would have no option but to join the congregation. For this reason, Hazrat did not allow them to congregate in the Khanqa. At the same time, he recognized the sincerity and the goodness of the requesters who wished to listen to the Quran and congregate for that purpose, and did not want to dishearten them. Therefore, a small masjid nearby was chosen for this purpose. Whoever wished to congregate behind Sheikh Muhammad Tayyib rahimahullah went there after Taraweeh. At that time, the Khanqa masjid became silent. In this way, the one Quran was completed in the masjid. Nowadays, many Huffaz and reciters hold voluntary salah in the nights of Ramadan after Taraweeh and show no concern for the weak's sick or people who return from a full day's work and wish to sleep at night. They suffer due to the insensitivity of such Huffaz and reciter. Some masjids even install loudspeakers for this purpose and disturb the sleep of the people in the neighborhood. All these things look and seem like worship, but are actually acts of sin, as they create hardship for others. Hazrat Thanwi rahimahullah often said, worship of this kind is only desirable, whereas saving oneself from hurting another Muslim is necessary, wajib, and opposing a necessary act is a major sin. We had a habit in Deoband that few of us would sit in camaraderie after Taraweeh. We sat, drank tea, and discussed matters of interest. In Thana Bhavan, when we returned from the second congregation in the small masjid, Sheikh Tayyib rahimahullah and I kept up this habit in our room. The rule in the Khanqa was that no one was allowed to do zikr or recite loudly after Taraweeh until 3 a.m. in the morning, so that those who awoke in the latter part of the night for Tahajjud were not disturbed. There was no concept of camaraderie in Khanqa whatsoever. It was pin-drop silence after Isha. Our discussions after Isha could be heard from far away. The people in charge of Khanqa were aware that we were Hazrat's special guest, so they ignored us for a day or two. On the third day, one of the in charge stood some distance from the room and said loudly, "Talking after Isha is forbidden in Khanqa." We then realized our mistake and went to sleep immediately after Salah. We observed this rule and the implementation of this rule in the Khanqa. After some time, I read a narration of Sayyidina Umar radiyallahu ta'ala anhu and Aisha radiyallahu ta'ala anha, and Umar radiyallahu anha said to people who stayed awake and gossip after Isha, "Go to sleep, maybe you will be able to pray Tahajjud." A similar narration is attributed to Ammi Aisha radiyallahu ta'ala anha. Now think about the fruits of such an oft overlooked and simple rule. How can someone living in this blessed environment not become regular in his Tahajjud? Such a person would not be able to survive without praying his Fajr in congregation. In our times, the night begins at midnight. One friend says, "I know when it hits 12 a.m. in Karachi that something has hit." One effect of this irreligious mentality is that one becomes incapacitated from praying Salat, especially Fajr. Even regulars for Salat find it difficult to pray any Salah on time, let alone the modernists, who don't pray at all. Majid Lahori, a poet, compares the old times with the modern one in 2 lines. First, the old times. They pray Fajr, then recite Quran. And the modern times, they wake up at 9 in the morning and read Dawn. It is important for those who care for their hereafter to strive to change the environment of their gathering and homes. A good environment is the key to becoming regular and helping friends and family becoming regular in their salat and fasting. As Mufti Shafi rahimahullah said, people left after Taraweeh for another masjid and the Khanqa masjid became empty. This proves that Hakimul Ummah permitted calling people to congregate for voluntary salah as not being undesirable, karaha. Otherwise, he would never have allowed them to pray their voluntary salah, let alone allowed it in another masjid. Let us stop here, and this will conclude the devotions of Hazrat Sheikh Maulana Ashraf Ali Thanwi rahimahullah. May Allah give us tawfiq and himmat and willpower to practice on some of what we have read, so that we can also become like those who have spent their life in search for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and becoming the choicest slave of Allah. Subhanallah wa bihamdihi, subhanallah wa bihamdihi, wa nashhadu an la ilaha illa anta wa natubu ilayh. Jazakallah, wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Jazakallahu khairan for watching or listening to this discourse. Show your appreciation by liking this video to help us bring similar content for you. Also subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so. Clicking the bell icon will notify you of the new discourses which will be uploaded on a regular basis. Most of all, please give us your feedback and du'as in the comments. Please note that we do not use ad revenue or AdSense on YouTube, so check out the campaign link in the description. Jazakallahu khairan.